Oh, yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm presenting tetralogy of Fallot. So,
ये
अच्छा,
सुमन पूरा स्क्रीन वो स्लाइड शो शुरू कर लो।
कर रही हूँ सर।
हम्म
So, Fallott's tetralogy was firstly described by Fallot in 18 was published in 1888. So, it includes four parts: stenosis of the pulmonary artery. Second, there is interventricular communication (VSD), and overriding aorta, deviation of the origin of aorta towards the right ventricle, and contributing to both ventricle. And fourth is hypertrophy of the right ventricle. Epidemiology, it's 1 per 3600 live births, and a patient with TOF has approximately 2 to 3% chances of having siblings of congenital heart disease, although it's not necessary to have TOF, but having possibility of other, congenital heart disease. So in embryology, there is malalignment of the infundibular septum. Normally, in development, division of fetal conotruncus that results in the alignment of infundibular septum with the connection with muscular trabecular septum. But in TOF, that infundibular septum deviates from its normal position towards anterior and towards superior and anteriorly. So there is misalignment between these two septums and creates a gap there, that is VSG. So this deviation of infundibular septum goes towards more of the RVOT. So is there, and as it deviates to the RVOT, so aorta deviates more over the both ventricles and communicate with right ventricle also. So in pathophysiology, usually these malaligned
So
VSG.
have you understood? The question is asked that which single embryological abnormality leads to TOF?
So deviation of that infundibular septum anteriorly and cephalad. This only contributes to TOF.
You can explain all the components of tetralogy by this single embryological abnormality.
Yes, sir. So, in pathophysiology, these malaligned VSDs are mainly located in perimembranous septum with extension into infundibular septum, and these VSDs roof is formed by the crest of muscular trabecular septum, and it's roofed by the valve of overriding aorta, and AV conduction is normal, and along with these VSDs, there other associated muscular small VSDs can be present, and they usually close spontaneously in the first year of age. And this is sometimes a non-restrictive malaligned defect that reduces in size by the presence of an accessory or excessive valve leaflet tissue that encroached into the VSD by the defect of either short chordae tendineae or tethered long chordae. So that fits into that VSD gap and decreases its size. So this is an angiogram, left ventriculogram showing the dilated and overriding aorta, and there is in here stenotic infundibulum and horizontal septum. So then in pathophysiology, there is obstruction to right ventricular outflow. So what all are responsible for the obstruction? So as we have discussed, there is malalignment of the infundibular septum anteriorly and superiorly in cephalad, but that is essential cause, but not the only cause for the obstruction of right ventricular outflow. So this should be present. Along with this, there is hypertrophy of septoparietal trabeculations and other trabecula septomarginalis infundibular part of the septum. All these are hypertrophied and contributes to obstruction to right ventricular outflow. And sometimes stenotic pulmonary valve, bicuspid valve, and calcified pulmonary valve, and occasionally, very less frequently, unicommissural unicuspid valve can also contribute to the obstruction. And also other less frequent causes, hypoplastic pulmonary annulus or the ostium of that infundibulum. And they mentioned rarely TOF can be associated with scimitar syndrome. That is a syndrome having a lung deformity, and there is abnormal drainage of pulmonary vein directly into the right atrium. So this is the right ventriculogram, which is to show the right ventricular outflow obstruction. So in this first, there is 5-year-old boy with TOF. So here is right ventricle, and this is RVOT, and this is the thickened part of the septum. This is infundibulum, that is hypertrophied, and these are the trabeculae septal marginalis. So these are hypertrophied, and there is hypoplastic pulmonary trunk, and simultaneously here it's dilated ascending aorta. It's more than pulmonary trunk. And again in this we are showing the right ventricle, and this is the RVOT, and here this infundibulum is hourglass deformity, and this light white shaded pulmonary valve, that is dome shaped, and this is pulmonary trunk. Here annulus is of normal size. So sometimes in if tetralogy is presents with pulmonary atresia, that will be the severe clinical will present with severe clinical findings. And in pulmonary atresia, that obstruction to RVOT is because of completely atretic pulmonary valve, or there is imperforate muscle in the annulus part. So in that, as there is no flow through the RVOT across this valve, so pulmonary trunk either will be vestigial or will be hypoplastic, and their proximal pulmonary arteries will also be hypoplastic. So in that case, no blood is going to the pulmonary trunk, so entire RV output will go to the systemic circulation via VSD, and that will lead to biventricular aortic dilatation, and it associated with right aortic arch in 25% cases. So in these cases, as there is no blood going through the RVOT to pulmonary trunk, so lungs are perfused by the collaterals, systemic to pulmonary arterial collaterals, which we'll discuss later on, or maybe some part is perfused by the presence of ductus arteriosus, but that will be narrow, long, and muscular ductus arteriosus. So how the pulmonary circulation will be maintained in presence of pulmonary atresia? So there are 3 types of collateral are seen in case of atresia. First is systemic arterial collaterals. Second is distinctive ductus arteriosus, because it will be a looks like systemic artery and will be muscular. And others small pleural plexus, arterial plexus. So in systemic arterial collaterals further divide in 3 types. First is intrapulmonary anastomosis, second is hilar, and third is extrapulmonary anastomosis. So in intrapulmonary anastomosis occurs between the bronchial artery, which arises from the thoracic aorta, and the pulmonary artery. So this has been seen, these anastomosis develops in the ninth gestational week in the fetus. And hilar anastomosis, here anastomosis occur at the level of hilum. So anastomoting arteries are direct from the systemic arteries plus the pulmonary artery, which is entering into the lung. So these direct systemic arteries comes from the descending aorta.
ये systemic arterial, you can hear Suman.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Can you classify systemic arterial collaterals again?
The systemic
You have
arterial.
classified into intrapulmonary, hilar, and extrapulmonary.
Yes,
ये,
sir.
from where have you read it? From Parlafali, no?
Yes.
Achha, are you aware of any other classification? Are you aware of direct and indirect collaterals?
Sir, it was mentioned somewhere, but I have not read it because.
No, it is mentioned here also, no. So there are second point is direct. So hilar anastomosis is a direct systemic arterial collateral, where anastomosis it is indirect, where it is originating from one of the branches.
So basically, systemic arterial collaterals have been divided into direct and indirect collaterals. Direct collaterals are या तो collaterals directly descending aorta से origin करेंगे या वो origin करेंगे intercostal artery से, मतलब
Yes.
primarily. इसके अलावा indirect collaterals हो गए वो किसी न किसी branch से करेंगे. ये हो गया origin. फिर हो गया termination. Termination के हिसाब से they are either pulmonary, they are hilar or they are extrapulmonary. ठीक है. Origin और termination के हिसाब से there are two class. एक तो origin के हिसाब से, एक termination के हिसाब से. Now you are talking of intrapulmonary, hilar, extrapulmonary on basis of termination.
Termination.
अब बताओ bronchial artery.
So on the.
Okay, you understand this point, no?
Yes, sir. I have.
You should be there are two things you should know: origin and termination. Origin है direct, indirect. Direct मतलब bronchial artery collateral भी हो सकते हैं, direct collateral भी हो सकते हैं या indirect collateral भी हो सकते हैं. Actually, bronchial artery collaterals को जल्दी बहुत बड़े नहीं होते हैं, तो some people divide into bronchial artery collaterals direct and indirect, and some people divide into direct and indirect and take bronchial artery into the direct.
Yes, sir.
वो region के हिसाब से.
Okay, sir. So on the basis.
क्लासिफिकेशन का नाम क्या होता है? What is the
Yes.
name of the classification?
Name of?
Classification.
I'm not sure कि इसका नाम दिया हुआ है, कुछ है नाम इसका?
नाम तो नहीं दिया हुआ.
नहीं सर दिया है, मैं आपको पता करके बताता हूँ एक सेकंड. तो आप कंटिन्यू करो, I'll let you know.
So they have mentioned that these three types.
Complete कर लो. Complete the collaterals. Have you completed? You were talking of bronchial collaterals, 9th week, then hilar collaterals. क्या है?
In hilar collaterals, these are also by the origin. These are direct collaterals, and as these terminate at the level of hilum, so hilar anastomosis occurs. So arteries come from the descending aorta and that communicate with the pulmonary arteries. Develop at the age of 3rd and 4th week of gestation. And indirect arterial collaterals origin.
Are you aware? Generally, जब भी antegrade flow maintained होगा ना,
Yes, sir.
जब भी antegrade flow maintained होगा, most common type of collaterals are bronchial collaterals. Pulmonary atresia में hilar और extrapulmonary collaterals ज्यादा common हो जाते हैं, लेकिन अगर tetralogy है, classical antegrade flow है, उसमें classically origin जो होता है वो intrapulmonary anastomosis का होता है, bronchial artery मतलब का ज्यादा होता है, direct collaterals ज्यादा होते हैं. Origin wise direct और termination wise intrapulmonary anastomosis is more common, while in pulmonary atresia hilar and extrapulmonary are common. इसका implication है direct collaterals are easy to unifocalize. Indirect collaterals or collaterals which are extrapulmonary or hilar are not very easy to, which are terminating very distally are not very easy to. अच्छा तुमने लिखा है direct indirect first word.
Yes, sir. लिखा है.
हाँ, but they are not very easy to. Okay.
Then in indirect origin can be from the internal memory, innominate.
अच्छा अगर suppose
Yes, sir.
coronary artery से हो रहा है origin, वो कौन से तरह के collaterals होंगे?
Sir, वो coronary से हो रहा है, that will be indirect, sir.
Yeah, that will be a part of indirect collaterals, but they are also very rare forms.
10% findings, yes. So all these three major types have been seen in the TOF in the TOF, but all these three are not present in one patient. One in one a single type of collateral is usually predominates in a given patient, not all three types. So they and 10% of arterial collaterals originate from coronary artery also, and pulmonary circulation is effective in every type of collateral regardless of the type of arterial collaterals. So and then this is if ductus arteriosus is present, that will be malformed or absent in pulmonary atresia, and if that persists, then it will be long and narrow because it will serve the function of only 5 to 10% of blood supplies to the pulmonary, and that's why it's narrow and long because of its course, as it has to run distally and that go away from the aortic arch and then turns back to join the left pulmonary artery. So this is the right ventriculogram of the patient having pulmonary atresia with TOF. So here is the that infundibulum, and it's atretic, and this right ventricle dilated aorta, ascending aorta. And in second part, they are showing the collaterals of large bronchial artery.
Is the voice breaking or is my microphone having a problem?
So even I am not able
No,
to.
sir, the voice is breaking, sir.
Voice is breaking.
बीच में echo.
You can continue
Suman's
at least.
voice is not breaking, but sir's voice is breaking.
Yeah, Suman's voice is okay. Sir voice is breaking.
So in this also these are the X-ray and angiograms of the TOF with pulmonary atresia. So in X-ray, RV enlargement, RA enlargement, dilated ascending aorta, and atretic pulmonary artery and infundibulum. So in this RV angiogram, there is dilated ascending aorta and there is obliterated infundibulum. And these are showing the collaterals, right and left pulmonary artery, and collaterals from the thoracic aorta. Sir, but how will decide these are collaterals coming from aorta?
Where is your catheter?
So this is the catheter. Catheter will be in aorta.
So you are able to decide now.
Where is it lying? Just see the course of the catheter, na?
Yes, sir.
Where is it?
So
From where have you reached up collateral?
we retrogradely we have gone to the, this is the arch and ascending aorta.
Ascending में तो नहीं है. Retrograde है.
Retrogradely to here arch and then.
हाँ, तो भी descending aorta से ही है ना, lateral border से.
हाँ, यही तो है.
And this is again the X-ray and angiogram of the TOF with pulmonary atresia. Here in angiogram, this is the left pulmonary artery, and this is the collateral coming from the superior subclavian artery, and that collateral is also stenosed. Then associated abnormalities with TOF, presence of AR in TOF, as the VSD is roofed by the aortic valve, so incompetent AV valve and herniation of AV valve can lead to aortic regurgitation. Though they have mentioned herniation of that aortic cusp is more frequent in the isolated subarterial ventricular septal defect than in the TOF. And then other cause with AR is age-related changes. As with age, there is progressive aortic root dilatation with inherent medial abnormality of the aorta. And so that AR.
Suman, what is Chinese TOF or Asian TOF?
Chinese, Asian. No, sir.
Those having a subarterial VSDs, na, they are more commonly seen in Chinese population or in the Asian population. Okay.
30% of VSD in Asian population is
Yeah.
about.
So subarterial. So these are called as Chinese stuff.
And then AR causes volume overload of both ventricles, and that leads to biventricular failure. And this aortic valve is more susceptible for infective endocarditis, and that can also lead to regurgitation. And incidence of this AR increases with the as there is with age RVOT obstruction increases, and its occurrence is 25% with pulmonary atresia. And abnormal coronary arteries. So abnormal coronary artery origin is not of any functional use, but it's important for the surgical, for the anatomical anatomical position for the surgical importance. So and this is that coronary arteries abnormality is influenced by the embryologically if there is autopulmonary rotation, and occurrence of these abnormality is more when that rotation in that rotation aorta is anteriorly or side by side to the pulmonary trunk, then there are chances of more coronary artery abnormalities. And most common abnormality is either origin of conus artery from the left, uh, from the right coronary artery or right coronary right sinus, or the origin of left anterior descending artery from right coronary artery or directly from the right sinus of Valsalva. And there are most frequently have fistulous communication between the coronary arteries have seen frequently in TOF, that between the fistula between coronary artery and pulmonary artery or right atrium or with the bronchial arteries.
I think this needs to be checked from Mawson Adams. As far as I remember, the most common is LED coming from RCA in 4%, and second is single coronary artery from left sinus in 1%.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
more left.
Yes.
And
4 and 1, and most common is LED from RC.
LED from
Overall,
3%.
5 to 7%.
So this is the autogram showing the
You must
origin of
actually tabulate the coronary artery anomalies. जहाँ भी से कट रहे हो वहाँ tabulate कर देना, because this is important with percentage.
this is the autogram showing the origin of left anterior descending artery from the right sinus along with the origin of RCA. And other association ASD defect occasionally coexists with TOF, and rarely that TOF is associated with PAP, PVC with ASD. And now the physiological consequences of TOF. It physiological outcomes are depend on the two variables. First is degree of obstruction to RVOT, and second is systemic vascular resistance. Main responsible component is RVOT obstruction. So as the so magnitude and direction of shunt will be determined by the resistance at a pulmonary level, and in comparison to systemic vascular resistance. So if there is lesser resistance at the level of RVOT, so shunt will be left to right, and if there is resistance is equal both, then balanced shunt will be there. And if there is more resistance in comparison to SVR, or it exceeds SVR, then shunt will be right to left. And in pulmonary atresia, there is unobstructed blood flow through the arterial collaterals that will lead to that leads to pulmonary vascular disease. So there is stenosis at intimal cushions that leads to decreased pulmonary blood flow. And in TOF, usually RV pressure doesn't exceed the systemic pressure because there is fixed outlet obstruction, and whenever pressure goes above, then shunt reverse to right to left, and blood flows out through the aorta. So in RV, pressure doesn't exceed the systemic pressures. So morphological changes by the morphological changes because of that RVOT and shunt. Hypertrophied RV will be present, and tricuspid leaflet will be fibrous, thickened, and incompetent maybe sometimes. And our LV will be underfilled because there is no less pulmonary flow, and so LV LV volume will be low, and that lead to the hypoplastic LV with reduced stroke volume. And simultaneously, as low volume causes hypoplastic left ventricle, similarly, low pressure and low flow in pulmonary arteries also causes hypoplasia of muscular arteries and thinning of the media, and also leads to widespread thrombosis. So, when pulmonary stenosis is severe and restrictive VSD is there, or VSD is restricted by the leaflet of tricuspid, then there will be right ventricular systolic pressure that will exceed the systemic pressure because VSD is restricted. There is no path to flow orient the flow from the RV to LV. So RV pressure will increase above the systemic pressure. That will chronically lead to the hypertrophy of the right ventricle and gradually land up in the right heart failure.
What is this variant called, Suman?
So this variant,
What is this called? Last slide.
yes, sir.
Top with a restrictive VSD.
Suprasystemic pressure. Huh?
Hoffman variant.
This is Hoffman variant.
Yes, sir. Oh,
HAFFMAN. Okay.
yes, sir.
And what is a muscle of Lanceri? This is also asked.
Muscle of Lanceri.
So usually RV has 3 papillary muscles, one of which
Medial
is
papillary
small and
muscle.
is on septum. Yeah, so in TOF this might be absent. This muscle is known as muscle of Lanceri, and this might be one of the reasons for TR.
It's Lanceri.
LANSERA, Lanceri.
Okay, sir.
लांसीसी होता है मेरे ख्याल से
Lanceri होता है, Lanceri होता है. चलो, never mind. Go ahead.
Natural history, gender distribution is equal. Malformation recurs in family, and usually child present with low birth weight, retarded growth, and retarded development. And familial tetralogy has been associated with genetic mutations of JAG1 gene with NKX 2.5 mutation and with chromosome 22 deletion. And usually tetralogy is diagnosed in neonates and infants. So diagnosis and their symptoms depend upon the shunt. If there is left to right shunt, then prominent systolic murmur will be present. And if shunt is balanced, so along with the presence of murmur, there will be cyanosis, that cyanotic spells will be there. And if the shunt is reversed, then there will, along with the systolic murmur, there will be cyanosis. And usually in early infancy, the clinical course is benign and mild symptoms, and that cyanosis will be mild to moderate, or it can be delayed for months. And some patients become acyanotic after few years of life. By the age of 5 to 8 years, mostly children become cyanotic with, and infant with TOF with pulmonary atresia are mildly cyanotic or acyanotic because of presence of collaterals. So
What are the reasons for delayed cyanosis in TOF?
So unrestricted VSD, and if there is a restriction is mild, as with age restriction progresses, RVO obstruction progresses.
Anyone else?
So polycythemia in neonates, fetal hemoglobin will retain more oxygen.
Hmm.
PDA will be open, and SVR does not fall because the activity will be less. But there will be no activity in neonates. And metabolic requirement is also less.
And progressive infundibulous stenosis with age.
Yeah, it is not anatomically severe at the time of birth. Gradually it increases.
So these are the 4
So
types.
hemoglobin F, progressive increasing PS, then progressive increase in oxygen demand because of growing child, and I think PDA.
Inactivity.
These are 4.
और सर आपने लास्ट वाला क्या बताया था? Persistent infundibular क्या?
Infundibulous stenosis may also progress with time.
RVO.
Okay. Rest Romila already mentioned.
And how many percentage are cyanotic? How many is cyanotic?
Is,
So 25% are cyanotic at birth, 75 are cyanotic by 1 year of age.
in an analysis, 2/3 patients reached 1 year without treatment, and 50% patients reached at the age of 3 years, and a quarter of patients completed first decade of life, and rate of deterioration is 6.4 per year, with 11% alive at 20 years and 6% at 30 years and 3% at 40 years. Survival in 5th and 6th decade is uncommon. And in TOF with pulmonary atresia, without surgery, 50% patients reached up to 1 year, and 8% patients reached to 10 years. And because of adequate collaterals, patients sometimes may survive up to the adolescence and adulthood. And in TOF, patient pregnancy is poorly tolerated, and there are high abortion rates. Right ventricular failure is usually uncommon, but if there is atresia or accessory tricuspid leaflet which causes obstruction, then it can lead to the right ventricular failure. And biventricular failure occurs in first few weeks of life. Reason may be because of if accessory tricuspid leaflet is there, it causes suprasystemic pressures and leads to ventricular failure, pulmonary atresia, and if aortic valve is calcified or AR is present there, or
You
infection.
should actually know. Okay.
Yes.
So that natural history is important. Whenever you are presenting a case, no, it is very common when the cyanosis occurred, then where it is classical TOF or not classical TOF, that natural history, you should write it somewhere that generally by 1 year of age, almost 50% of them are cyanosed. Gradually the cyanosis progresses by around 5 years of age in normal. So this history should be there. This list you are saying is very important. What are the causes of failure in case of tetralogy?
Yes, sir.
So there are more reasons than you have elaborated, no? So you must write it somewhere. What are the causes of congestive heart failure या biventricular failure in the case of tetralogy? उससे पहले a question prior to it is pregnancy. Which one line we have written? Pregnancy is poorly tolerated. Why pregnancy is poorly tolerated with tetralogy patient? Reason.
So as
Why is pregnancy poorly tolerated in top patient? Why proportionate?
hyperdynamic cardiac output increases, and cardiac output increases as their more right to left, and desaturated oxygen will be there, and it will increase cyanotic spells, and that precipitate the symptoms of presentation. And
Fall in SVR.
What happens in
Yes.
what is the
Fall in
hemodynamic change
SVR.
which is
All in
happening
SVR is the
tetralogy?
major. Yeah.
That causes right to left shunt.
Yeah.
So in most of the pregnancies, most of the duration of the pregnancy, it is a very low systemic vascular resistance. If it's a very low systemic vascular resistance, it is going to cause increased right to left hand, exertion of cyanosis, and compromise on the antegrade flow into the pulmonary artery bed. So cyanosis is going to worsen. Okay, one. Secondly, at the time of delivery or in labor, there is a high chances of hypoxemia, paradoxical embolism, and because of the rapid shifts, because of there is a rapid shift. No, sometimes the SVR, because you said initially, na SVR and PS play two important role in hemodynamics of tetralogy, जिसमें से पूरे हर टाइम पे PS predominantly role play करता है, लेकिन there are very few conditions. One of them is pregnancy, जिसमें SVR का role important हो जाता है, क्योंकि SVR suddenly low हो जाता है, या hypertension वगैरह जब SVR बढ़ जाता है और failure में चला जाता है, तो decreasing the SVR is actually counterproductive in all these patients. So one has to be very careful कि भाई shock में है, आप SVR inotrope शुरू करते हो या आप vasodilate करवाते हो, तो पता चलता है dobutamine start किया RV के लिए, relax कर दिया, antegrade flow ही compromise हो गया, RV dysfunction. You started for RV dysfunction, but you have compromised the antegrade flow. But if you are giving dobutamine in case of patient with RV failure, you have to monitor the antegrade flow and saturations. If saturations are very low, then starting dobutamine can be counterproductive. Okay. Same is the story with pregnancy. ज़्यादातर cases में SVR बढ़ेगा और failure precipitate करेगा. Pregnancy is among the rare causes where SVR decrease करेगा और problem precipitate करेगा. Okay, what are the causes of biventricular failure? फटाफट list कर दो. You have written 4, 5.
5, 6.
Suprasystemic atresia with collaterals, yeah, it's not very common. But उससे पहले okay, it's not very common. उससे पहले AR hypertension होगा, IE होगा, pulmonary atresia, collaterals तो last में AS होगा, पर बीच में क्या होगा? What are the other causes?
Anemia,
Aortic stenosis, anemia, large PDA.
Fibrotic RV.
Yes, actually voice is breaking, but first
Prolonged
thing that
hypoxia.
should be always you should talk of
Prolonged
first thing you should
hypoxia.
always talk of anemia.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And all these states where the flow is increased, anemia, thyroid, then
Very,
you
very-
start looking at very specialist subset, and then you start looking at the causes, rhythm, arrhythmias, onset of valve regurgitations, new regurgitations, infective endocarditis with regurgitations which is exaggerating. Stenotic lesions are very rare; they will come in the end. Aortic stenosis and coarctation, if you say it is very rare, they are case reports only. So it will come towards the end. Systemic hypertension, जो exam का case होगा उसमें systemic hypertension is very important. It will come be much before. Restrictive VSD will come much before. Hoffman.
Adult of.
Older
ये सारी 10
patients.
causes list कर देना जो डॉक्टर अंडर में लिखी हुई हैं.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
Then the in presentation, patient will be having hyperventilatory hyperventilation and dyspnea. So how will patient will be having dyspnea on exercise? As exercise induces hypoxemia, increases CO2 level that stimulates respiratory center and carotid body. These are the vulnerable respiratory centers, and that leads to hyperventilation, and patient will perceive it as dyspnea. So when isotonic exercise is there, so as systemic vascular resistance will decrease, and as there is fixed RVOT obstruction and venous return increases, so there will be more veno-arterial mixing, and then it leads to decrease in PO2 level, increase in pH level, and that affects the dynamics of ventilation and leads to hyperventilation. And then hypoxic spells, hypoxic hypercyanotic spells. These are the alarming feature of TOF. So how will define the hypoxic spell? So typically a spell is defined as it begins with a progressive increase in rate and depth of breathing.
This is the definition which everybody asks. Yes, ये इसी की definition है Parloff की जो हर कोई पूछता है. How will you define a hypoxic spell? If definition पूछता है ना तो this is the definition. Parloff से ही quote की है. Typical spell is a spell which is progressive increase in rate and depth of breathing, culminates in hyperapnea with deepening cyanosis, lipness, and may be followed by convulsion, cardiovascular accident, death. It may be precipitated by certain events such as immunization and urination. So this is the typical definition of spell.
So
ये definition important है, इसको highlight करके लिख लेना.
and peak incidence of cyanotic spells is between 2nd and 6th month of life.
And post spell somnolence.
Post spell somnolence.
उसमें दे रखा है Mawson Adams.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. It is followed by a post.
Sir, limpness is that only.
No, limpness is hypotonia of muscles.
Hypotonia, yes, sir. That will be similar to that.
No. The patient appears to be somnolent, usually after a spell.
Because of hypotonia, sir, limpness, or different. It will be different.
Yeah, I don't know.
Somnolence is a state of sedation type. No, he's right. Both are different.
And peak incidence is between 2nd and 6th month of life.
I didn't get some discussion is going on. Question क्या है?
Sir, Suman is confused between, she's saying limpness and somnolence are similar.
Like look like somnolence. That's why I thought.
That's okay.
Okay, so because the other question which comes is, how will you differentiate a spell from a seizure? That comes by history, because spell has a precipitating event.
Yes.
And the of your analyzed and deepening of cyanosis. Otherwise, दोनों में it is followed by post-ictal. वहाँ भी limpness होती है, यहाँ भी होती है.
They also post-ictal drowsiness.
There is no residual deficit which is seen in spell. There can be precipitating cause, precipitating cause, deepening of cyanosis with no focal deficit. These are the characteristics which different. These four characteristics differentiate this from this. Somebody will say EEG changes are known to occur in this because they are essentially hypoxia related changes may occur. So that is not a differentiating.
So peak incidence is between 2nd and 6th month of life, and as age.
Suman, theories of cyanotic spell we'll be discussing.
Sir, mechanism I have mentioned, and theories verbally I will tell name of theories.
Okay.
So after spells decreases after the age of 2 years, and precipitating factors for these spells are stress of feeding, crying, bowel movements, or particularly after awakening from a long deep sleep because vulnerable respiratory centers.
So once you complete your spell, you have to tell in the end why it occurs rarely after 2 years of age and why it is occurring more commonly between 2nd and 6th month. You complete your mechanisms, you complete your mechanisms because many of the answer will come from there.
So earlier it was mentioned that as there is as the baby cries or in any stress factor, there is sympathetic stimulation that causes infundibular contraction, and that leads to cyanotic spell. But over the time, it was found that, like in pulmonary atresia, this theory was not valid. That's why there were various theories came, and the final conclusion of all theories was these 5 points. So there was first Wood's theory. There is spasm of infundibulum that leads to a cyanotic spells, and then Genroth et al. Said that paroxysmal hyperventilation episodes are the cause for the cyanotic spells, not the effect of cyanotic spells. Then Kothari et al. Said that.
How? What does Gontarot et al. Say? What happens with paroxysmal hyperapnea?
Sir, as their paroxysmal hyperapnea, there will be more CO2 retention, and that will lead to receptors.
See, hyperapnea doesn't retain CO2, no? It washes out CO2.
Hyperapnea.
So usually there is increased venous return and there is more right to left shunt. So Gontarot said that there will be more venous return and there will be more right to left shunt. Okay, third theory.
Kothari et al. They said there is role of stimulation of mechanoreceptors present in RV. And Morgan's theory, they said that vulnerable respiratory centers are there that respond to output as baby cries or after awakening from deep sleep. And Young theory said atrial tachycardia. This leads to that acyanotic spells, as these leads to more cardiac output, and there will be more fall in systemic PO2 and pH, and rise will be PCO2. Sir, at the end,
What was Young theory? What was Young theory, Suman?
Young theory, they mentioned atrial tachycardias are responsible for it.
Or SVT.
Then one is catecholamine release in a stress condition. So conclusion of these all theories was that one is acceleration in heart rate, as there is increase in cardiac output and venous return. So these causes to more increase in right to left shunt, and that leads to more desaturated blood going to the systemic circulation, and there that desaturated blood having more PCO2, less pH, that affects the vulnerable respiratory control center, and that leads and acyanotic spells, and that sympathetic stimulation, which leads to infundibular contraction, and this precipitates that acyanotic spell. Other symptom will be sweating. There will be a frequent history of sweating to relieve these symptoms in children. So how sweating relieve the symptoms? So as child is after walking isotonic exercises, there will be peripheral vasodilation, cooling of the blood, causes orthostatic hypotension that will lead to a syncopal attack or faintness, and in a patient who is already in compromised state having hypoxemia will be having more symptoms. So as sweating decreases orthostatic hypotension, and that will reduces the symptom. Second, by sweating, systemic vascular resistance will increase. So blood going from right ventricle to aorta will decrease. And as the blood present in right ventricle will go more into the pulmonary circulation, it will improve the hypoxemia, and oxygenated blood. More oxygenated blood will come into the left side of the heart, and hypoxemia will be improved. So then hypoxemia, this improve in hypoxemia as systemic PO2 will increase, pH will increase, CO2 will decrease. So again that receptors stimulation will decrease, and will decrease the hyperventilation dyspnea. This sweating also improves systemic venous return, but hyperventilatory dyspnea's mechanism is more responsible to relieve the symptoms in TOF by the sweating. As this is isotonic leg exercises reduces oxygen saturation of venous effluent returning to heart from lower extremities. So in right ventricle there will be less deoxygenated blood, and automatically less deoxygenated blood will be circulated in the systemic circulation, and will improve hypoxemia. And again these are the same. Now the complications of hypoxic
Squatting equivalents क्या होते हैं?
So squatting equivalents होते हैं lying down situation, or chest to knee situation condition, and left lateral, or by compressing the abdominal aorta. ये भी कहीं लिखा हुआ था. By compressing abdominal aorta, we can abort the cyanotic spell.
ये नहीं पता मेरे को, ब्राह्मण ने बताया.
ये टॉफ में लिखा हुआ और ये परलोफ में लिखा हुआ.
क्या कहते हैं इस थ्योरी को?
तो ये थ्योरी थी
Roentgen's theory. Roentgen's theory. Von Roentgen's theory बोलते हैं.
The scientist.
Von Roentgen's
theory.
क्या होता है इससे? एब्डोमिनल कंप्रेशन से देयर इज डिक्रीज venous return.
जब abdominal compression हो गया तो SCR बढ़ गया, SCR बढ़ गया,
Yes.
Yes.
What are the various ways? What are the various postures which can help to relieve the which can help to relieve the dyspnea in case of tetralogy?
The knee chest position, lie down in left side, and leg underneath, like fold करके नीचे
Flex leg.
So,
either way
so
इसमें
it is not just sweating which can manifest. As the patient grows, it can assume various postures. This includes sweating. This includes जैसे आलती पालती मार के बैठते हैं ना, with crossed leg,
Yes, lying
Flex
namaz
leg.
position.
right sit,
Nice position.
or the patient may stand occasionally. Cyanotic patient will feel better if he feel cross leg. Cross leg में वो bend कर जाता है knee पे, so it helps. So they tend to stand better in that. और infants है और बहुत छोटे बच्चे हैं, उनमें तो हम proactively खुद ही बोलते हैं कि उसको shoulder में लेके उसको अपने कंधे पे रखो तो they feel better. So these are
Yes,
the
sir.
sweating equivalents which you should know, because patient may not give a history of sweating, but you might be able to elicit the history of sweating equivalents. Then it can be a leading question. या भैया हमेशा खड़ा ही पैर फोल्ड करके होता है, यही प्रेफर करता है कि ये सब लोग सोफे पे बैठते हैं और ये जमीन पे बैठ जाता है आदत पड़ती मार के, इसको उसी में अच्छा लगता है.
so complication of hypoxic spells.
कि जो सर का क्वेश्चन था ना कि why spotting occurs more from second or 6th month onwards and why it does not occur after 2 years of age.
तो क्योंकि ये baby learn to symptomatically how to abort the spells.
Baby starts to limit the physical activity and starts to limit
It adapts
the
himself.
Adapts or
It was not sweating, it was hypoxic spell.
hypoxic spell.
Sweating episode तो बढ़ते जाएंगे, hypoxic spell कम होते जाएंगे after 2 years.
Yes, sir. Hypoxic spell. Sorry.
Because of these, because these maneuvers,
Deep sleep.
as they try to learn all these maneuvers, they try to adjust with all these maneuvers.
Sir, ये हम अगर पेशेंट को कैथेटराइजेशन में GA दे रहे हैं, कुछ दे रहे हैं, तो it also can exacerbate spell, ना?
Yeah, it is very important. GA can reduce the STR and precipitate a spell.
Yeah.
We generally try to avoid doing CATs in GA, na, in tetralogies.
So it's all the interplay of SVR and PVR only.
अच्छा सर, ये साइनोटिक स्पेल 2 इयर्स के बाद कम होने का रीजन ये बोलते हैं कि रेस्पिरेटरी सेंटर्स ज्यादा मैच्योर हो जाते हैं तो
वो भी एक कॉज है, वो भी एक कॉज है.
Yeah, absolutely. We question रख लिया. I thought you complete and then बोला था ना, there is not one mechanism. There are multiple mechanisms. One, he gets used to. Second, maturity of the sinus becomes much more mature, so it gets adjusted to central stimulation, and then the drive is actually gone. So that is also one of the mechanisms. I think there is one more.
Sleep, deep sleep is also there, sir. Prolonged deep sleep in infants.
Sorry,
Prolonged deep sleep.
long deep sleep leads to what?
There is a vulnerable respiratory control mechanism, which is especially sensitive to this prolonged deep sleep in case of infant. So they just suddenly react to this increased stress like eating, crying, straining, and then initiating the cycle. Parloff mein likha hai.
Yes, sir. Because sir, as babies are babies having more vulnerable respiratory centers while awakening from deep sleeps. At that time, respiratory centers are more vulnerable. This is written in Parloff.
Yeah, majority of the center basically.
So am I audible?
I think my voice is.
Yeah.
Complications.
Sir,
The third mechanism is this upper limb and lower limb blood flow. As the baby matures, the lower limb blood flow tends to become more. So they go by alternative methods and try to restrict the venous return, because that becomes significant with age. And up to 2 years of age, the upper part of the body, as you see, flood is significant. Lower part is not that significant. But after 2 years of age, the lower limb flow becomes very significant. So all these sweating and sweating equivalents tend to decrease the lower limb and have much more better compensatory effect than it would be in unit. complication of hypoxic.
Should I continue?
Yeah.
Complication of hypoxic spells, growth retardation, mental retardation, cerebral abscess, cerebral venous sinus thrombosis, hypernasal resonance, as there will be
It's interesting. What is the cause of hypernasal resonance in case of spell?
Sir, as there is a hypotrophy, atrophy of that velopharyngeal muscles. Because of that, that approximation of soft palate and pharynx will be there because reduced tone. And
Inappropriate.
that is, they says that velopharyngeal hypotrophy, atrophy is probably because of that cerebrovascular
Are you
attack.
sure it is atrophy or hypertrophy? It is not related to local cause.
Insufficient.
Sir, it is
CNS
basically
damage, CNS
improper
damage.
approximation.
Absolutely. This is a
CNS
very nice
damage due to
muscle
hypoxia.
which is very much responsive to CNS central causes. आप
Central
किसी भी देख लो किसी में भी CNS डैमेज होता है ना उसको nasal twang आ जाता है because this approximation of the speech for the speech के लिए जो what you call it is velopharyngeal is approximation is essentially central. तो बार-बार जब CNS damage it points to so many spells that it is called hypoxic CNS damage. There are few centers in the brain which are very prone to hypoxia, and one of the centers is this.
Yes, sir.
So it is a central cause for hypernasal resonance.
And wheezing and stridor because of the
It
compression.
is again a very important sign and history में आप history ले रहे हो उसकी बात में उसकी nasal twang में बात कर रहे हो. So this spells that probably he had repeated spells when he was small.
Yes.
Wheezing and stridor because of the compression of trachea by dilated aorta. And if
Similarly, PC चलना, what are the causes of brain abscess and cerebral brain abscess? Cerebral cause of brain abscess and cerebral venous thrombosis. What are the causes?
Erythrocytosis, iron deficient erythrocytosis is cause for venous sinus thrombosis, usually in children's.
तो cerebral venous sinus thrombosis कौन सी एज में ज़्यादा common होता है?
Less than 4 years.
Why?
So because
less than 4 years में cerebral venous thrombosis ज़्यादा common होता है और beyond 2 years cerebral abscess ज़्यादा common होता है. Why?
कर रहे हैं
polycythemia, there will be.
अब वहाँ बैठ जाओ
Tooth eruptions or cerebral abscess is due to because more than 18 months there will be tooth eruption. And mastication occurs. And in cerebral vascular accidents is less than 2 years. MO concentration hota hai.
So what happens? Why cerebral? So what is happening? This mechanism is probably in most adults. No? When there is iron deficiency, erythrocytosis, microvascular thrombi form in the cerebral. There is a nidus. This nidus can easily get infected by paradoxical embolism as the child starts to walk because lower limb trauma is also more common. Teeth begin to erupt. So there also it forms a nidus from which the infection can travel. So there is always right to left shunt which can easily log into this micro thrombi which are in the brain because of the iron deficiency and form cerebral abscess. So this is the mechanism. So why cerebral venous thrombosis before 4 years of age?
MO concentration is more in less than 2 years.
Yeah, because the volume, in general, the less than 4 years of age, the amount of free water is much more in children. So, अगर water loss होगा, so thrombotic events become very common in less than 4 years of age. क्योंकि free water ज़्यादा होता है ना, यानी उनका lean body mass कम होता है क्योंकि free body water ज़्यादा होता है. जितना वाटर लॉस होगा उतना थ्रोम्बोसिस का रिस्क बढ़ जाएगा. छोटे बच्चों में ज्यादा होता है तो वाटर लॉस से भी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम होगी, इसलिए थ्रोम्बोसिस भी ज्यादा होता है. So we have talked of growth cerebral with nasal wheezing and stridor. You have already discussed. Why is there wheezing and stridor?
Aorta compression.
By the compression.
Because of the compression of large aorta.
So wheezing and compression is basically because of the if it is very dilated aorta. So aortic one of the causes is dilating aorta. Second cause is, of course, vascular because of the pulmonary atresia, because of the mismatch between the vessels and there can be distal compression. These are the two
Yes.
causes for the wheezing. हमेशा pulmonary atresia सब ग्रुप में ज़्यादा common wheezing होता है because aorta इतने बड़े-बड़े होते हैं. Okay.
Now if BSG is restrictive and accompanied by the severe pulmonary valve stenosis, then the features will resemble the isolated pulmonary stenosis clinical presentation. And a restrictive VSD with mild pulmonary stenosis having a murmur, but patient is usually with no symptoms, with more risk of infective endocarditis. Now, the physical appearance, child will be having poor physical development, and if infant is present with cough with pulmonary atresia, so their presentation is with congestive heart failure because of the large collaterals, and cyanosis varies from absent to severe, and it is usually symmetrical. And cyanotic spells, as we have earlier described, after crying, feeding, and exercise, they can be precipitated, or patient will give a history of sweating or relieving the symptoms by sweating. And genetic associations, other syndromic associations is CASH22 monosomy, Down trisomy, velocardiofacial syndrome, Goldner syndrome, absent thumb and first metacarpal, absence of pectoralis major, that is congenital pectoral dysplasia, or Poland syndrome, presence of syndactyly, brachydactyly with hypoplasia of ipsilateral hand, and underdevelopment of left arm secondary to isolated left subclavian and hypoplasia of hand. And
This
now
part you must also read from Watson Adams because he talks about the
Yeah.
gene which has been localized to same as the same as which syndrome?
yes, sir.
Syndrome is the gene of tetralogy has been localized to same as
22
Alzheimer's syndrome.
22 to 11.2 Downs, then golden hair,
Right, George.
TBX5,
Right, George.
Notch1 gene. In 70% of the cases, however, there is no gene which is demonstrable. No gene abnormality is demonstrable. One more question is asked.
Ram allegedly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. One more question is asked. What are the environmental factors causing TOF? It is also not given in Perloff. It is given in Watson Adams.
So,
What environmental factors will you ask? So history of maternal diabetes, history of maternal retinoic acid, या vitamin A intake, history of maternal phenylketonuria, and history of, I think, trimethadone या कोई drug intake. I will confirm. So there are 3-4 things which you have to ask. These are also not given in Perloff.
sir. Then on clinical examination, arterial pulse is usually normal, and if there is presence of AR or systemic collaterals, then there can be brisk pulse with wide pulse pressure. And JVP is usually normal. A wave is usually found normal because there is normal atrial contraction, and sometimes large A wave can be found. That is because of if there is occlusion of VSD because of accessory tricuspid leaflet, and that causes to increase the right ventricular pressure over systemic pressure, or there is any obstruction to that aortic side or resistance on the aorta, that will lead to the large A wave, like calcified biventricular aortic valve, systemic hypertension increases SVR, and persistence of left superior vena cava. Then in on inspection and palpation, in RV impulse is usually gentle.
Or in general, the JVP is normal. JVP will be in raised for all the conditions which we have discussed for biventricular failure. Otherwise, it will be normal.
Yes.
What did you say about the last line? Consistent elasticity of return?
Yes, sir. I also wanted to ask that.
clinical examination you have written persistent left SVC. What is the relevance of persistent left SVC?
So in clinical examination,
Yeah.
Yeah.
clinical examination, unless
Left jugular pulse will be more prominent.
So what happens? Sometimes the left
Because of the flow.
SVC is very big in these cases. Whenever it is there, you left JVP signs may get more prominent than the right. That is importance of left SVC. And of course, it has got relevance for surgical thing because for clinical examination may relevance.
then on inspection and palpation, RV impulse will be gentle as it doesn't RV pressure doesn't go above this systemic pressure, and usually impulse is found in fourth and fifth intercostal space, and LV impulse will not be felt as LV is a hypoplastic due to underfeeling. Dilated right aortic arch can be felt in the right sternoclavicular in the area just above right sternoclavicular junction, and in the left second intercostal space we can feel the S2. That will be the prominent loud aortic component of S2, and region behind it is dilated aortic root. And on auscultation, firstly in second intercostal space we'll hear the ejection sound. That is because of the dilated aortic root and will not be because of the pulmonary stenosis. And superficial loud systolic murmur will be heard in third left intercostal space. That will be of infundibular stenosis, and if subinfundibular stenosis will be there, then murmur will be heard just more below. And characteristic of this systolic murmur of stenosis is that as severity of stenosis increases, the intensity and duration of this murmur will decrease. And then we'll heard along the left sternal border hollow systolic murmur because of non-restrictive VSD. And
Why hollow systolic murmur in non-restrictive VSD? It has been mentioned.
yes, sir.
How a non-restrictive VSD will create a hollow systolic murmur? VSD doesn't have murmur, no, in these cases.
But that will be soft. It will be there.
Basically, in case of TOF, there is silent pericardium, no pericardium. तो ऐसा sound नहीं सुनाई देता predominant.
Yes.
Silent pericardium बोलते हैं.
So we knew when I know this is mentioned in probably because this was a many times this has been raised. The errors हैं जो हमें accept करने पड़ेंगे. Don't take this home. Hollow systolic murmur non-restrictive VSD में नहीं होता है.
Okay.
नहीं होता.
This is the error. You remove this statement. It is an error in Perloff.
You want to understand, na?
Not be
There will be equalization of pressures in the two chambers of the heart. So how will a murmur sound? Okay, murmur आएगा ही नहीं वहाँ पे.
So systolic murmur, that of stenosis, will decrease in hypoxic spells because as there is hypoxic spells occur, there will be less pulmonary arterial blood flow, and because of that intensity and duration, so murmur will be soft because of less flow and duration will be decreased. And similar with vasodilators, and this murmur will be increased with vasoactive drugs. As vasoactive drug will increase SVR, low flow from right to left, increase flow through the RVOT. Then the presence.
So which murmur does not, among TOF physiology, where the murmur does not decrease during hypoxic smell?
Which murmur?
No, the same murmur, the ejection systolic murmur, usually you are saying that it decreases in case of TOF whenever there is hypoxic smell. So whenever it does not decrease during hypoxic spell, what are you suspecting?
The restrictive is the restrictive.
No. So basically among TOF physiology, DORV में it usually does not decrease because there is an obligatory kind of flow, no?
Yes, then continuous murmur is because of collaterals in pulmonary atresia, and occurrence prevalence is around 80%. percent.
Sorry, I didn't get it. What did you say? DRV में what was the statement?
Hello.
It said something in DRV. No, I didn't get it.
Yeah. Sir, I was saying that usually during the hypoxic spell, the ejection systolic murmur decreases in classical TOF. But if it fails to decrease, then the most common cause is a DORV VSDPS situation.
ये कहाँ पढ़ा?
ये सर एक बुक में ही पढ़ा था मैंने.
Murmur of tetralogy and tetralogy physiology is across the pulmonary artery outflow. Unless the VSD is restrictive, it is not going to give murmur in DORV. The murmur will always be across the right ventricular outflow tract. And any hypoxic spell, any hypoxia is going to decrease the antigrade murmur. So, I think we should recheck wherever it is written that the murmur, antigrade murmur is going to decrease in on all the hypoxic spells.
Yeah, sir, it behaves like TOF only. With the unrestricted VSD and the PS, it behaves like TOF physiology only.
Only difference it will come as if the murmur is very, if the PS is not significant, it will be a very good murmur antigrade, almost extending up to the second heart sound. If it, as the PS increases, two changes come. One, the intensity of the murmur comes down, and secondly, duration of the murmur starts to appear much more before the second heart sound, as the severity of the pulmonary stenosis increases.
Okay, sir.
What was the reaction? Go by clear slide. This needs a discussion. One more clear slide. What was the effects of drugs you said? Vasoactive drugs you said something.
Yes, sir.
One previous slide. Antigrade murmur important है ना? As the severity of PS increases, all TOF physiologies are going to have restrictive. I mean, murmur is going to decrease as the PS increases. The only pansystolic murmur, if at all, would be in tricuspid atresia PSDPS.
Yes.
That is the only cause of. Obviously, if there is a pansystolic murmur, then you have to think of PSD and you have to think of AV valve regurgitation. So, TOF physiology में जब भी pansystolic murmur मिलेगी, what are the causes if you get a pansystolic murmur in case of PSD?
So in VSD.
Just now, sir, mentioned.
आपका TOF physiology का केस आप प्रेजेंट कर रहे हो, आपको pansystolic murmur मिलेगा.
Yes,
What all causes you think of?
What are the causes?
sir,
वो भी causes होते हैं ना pansystolic murmur के, PSD और AV valve regurgitation.
yeah,
तो अगर
right.
आपको
PR या
what are the causes? अगर आपको pansystolic murmur मिल रही है, if you are saying a pansystolic murmur, आपके short में कौन से causes?
TR VSD.
MR, TR or restrictive VSD.
So then think of these other associations.
What are the causes? कौन से causes हो जाते हैं?
कौन से associations होंगे TOF के
कौन से
साथ?
रह जाते हैं?
So CTGA VSDPS होगा, there is a TR murmur.
Okay. और common
AVSD. AVSD.
हाँ AVSD.
AVSD VSDPS होगा.
AVSD no?
हाँ तो think of AV canal with TOF.
पहले आएगा CTGS because of the more common incidents.
More common. Yeah.
And third is of course tricuspid atresia, that will be a murmur of restrictive VSD. These are the three causes of pansystolic murmur in AV canal or in TOF physiology. You have written vasodilator decreases. What is the effect of what are the effects of drugs? Vasoactive drugs on tetralogy. What happens?
Sir,
Systemic vascular resistance को कम करेगा सर.
इससे क्या होगा?
SVR, then there will be decreased resistance to that
Decreased flow
right
to the
to left
pulmonary.
flow. So more blood through the right to the aorta will go, and then blood to flow in the RVOT will be less, and that will decrease that stenosed murmur and will increase the flow through the aorta.
So दो चीजें हो गई ना. So एक तो inotrope से क्या होगा और एक vasoactive drug से क्या होगा. This you should be aware.
Yes, sir. So vasoactive drugs will increase SVR. So there will be more resistance.
Vasoactive drug will
Decrease SPR.
decrease SVR. एसवीआर को कम
नॉट
करेंगे,
इंक्रीज,
No, sir, increases.
बढ़ाएंगे नहीं,
Increases.
इंक्रीज करेंगे प्रेशर्स, वेजोप्रेसिव,
Pressors.
जैसे एड्रेनलिन, नॉन एड्रेनलिन, ये सब डिक्रीज करेंगे। क्लासिकल जो एग्जाम में,
Amyl-
हर एग्जाम में कौन सी ड्रग को यूज करते हैं? अमाइल नाइट्रेट।
Amyl nitrate.
अमाइल नाइट्रेट से क्या होगा बताओ? सारे एग्जामिनेशन फाइंडिंग्स अमाइल नाइट्रेट पे डिस्कस होती है।
Amyl nitrate will be
वेजोडाइलेट कर देगा, एसवीआर कम हो जाएगा, एसवीआर कम हो जाएगा तो एंटीग्रेड मर्मर कम हो जाएगा, द चाइल्ड विल बिकम फर्दर ब्लू।
राइट,
yes, sir.
सही है, ओके सर, थैंक यू।
लेट्स कंटिन्यू।
Continuous murmur, that will be because of the presence of collaterals in pulmonary atresia, and presence of murmur, continuous murmur in the setting of pulmonary atresia is 80%, and characteristic of this is of usually grade of 3/6, soft in nature, and heard best beneath the clavicles in the back, right or left sternal borders, and right and left axilla. So, and if
ये इंपॉर्टेंट है ये स्टेटमेंट ना। सो वेयर आर द साइट्स ऑफ कंटीन्यूअस मर्मर, ये भी पूछते हैं। बिलो द क्लेविकल, between both these, between the scapula and the axilla, 3 places.
so, and if
That is why back is auscultated when you are auscultating a case of cough. हमेशा back auscultate करना बहुत जरूरी है।
and in setting of right heart failure, we can have systolic tricuspid regurgitation murmur, and now in diastolic murmurs, we can hear it at apex, that may be because of the aortic regurgitation, or less likely by the absence of pulmonary valve. So, by aortic regurgitation, diastolic murmur occurs, but how that will be occur with absent pulmonary valve?
मैं समझ गया। What you are confusing is absent pulmonary valve from pulmonary atresia.
Yes.
They are talking of absent pulmonary valve. It is not talking of pulmonary atresia. Absent pulmonary valve में तो free PR है ना?
Okay, sir. Free space is there. Means
Absent
no.
pulmonary valve है, मतलब valve नहीं है, वहाँ tissues हैं। तो there is a free PR. It is not pulmonary atresia.
Okay, sir. And then nature of murmur of produced by aortic regurgitation will be high in frequency, decrescendo, and it usually begin with the loud S2. Sometimes we may not be able to appreciate this murmur because of the presence of continuous murmur. And because of large collaterals, there will be more flow to the pulmonary vascular bed and more return to the left ventricle, that will may cause mild mitral diastolic murmur. And sometimes because of the incompetent bicuspid pulmonary valve may also produce diastolic murmur.
This
So
last
these are-
statement is very, very rare, so don't commit to it. Very down the list you commit it. It is generally not very common to have PR in case of tetralogy, unless it's of course absent pulmonary valve.
Then P2, it will be soft or maybe absent, and if it's present, it's delayed due to late closure after right ventricle has begun relaxing. Actually, when there is systole, in the systole, right ventricle contracts, so it takes times to fall the right ventricular pressure, and during the systole, the infundibulum will be apart, and when as the pressure in the right ventricle falls, so it will help the infundibulum to close the valve. So it takes time to close the pulmonary valve, and it leads to the delayed P2. And P2 will not be heard in case of pulmonary atresia. And after the drug, like if we have given vasodilators, then P2 will not be able to hear. And in case of stenotic valve, so S2 will be prominent and loud. That loud component will be of A2, and usually will be heard in the left upper part of sternal edge. And other heart sounds, S4 will not be present, or it will be present rarely, as atrial contraction is normal. and then S3 will only present if there is right heart failure.
तो normally भी होता है ना delayed. It is delayed because one
Hangout interval and
Because of pulmonary stenosis and delayed relaxation of infundibulum.
so normally people,
because PS की वजह से RV pressures are very high
yes sir.
और pulmonary artery pressures इतने low होते हैं that it will take very long time for that equalization to take place and valve will remain open for very long. Okay. और secondly,
Delayed relaxation.
there is what is happening. Blood is coming from RA to RV outflow to the pulmonary artery.
Yes sir.
So what is happening is there is a infundibulum which is also contracted.
Yes sir.
तो infundibulum धीरे धीरे रिलैक्स करता है. जैसे रिलैक्स करता है उसके क्रॉस ब्लड जाता है. So apparently one line में बोलना जाए तो it is very long ejection which is taking place across the right ventricular outflow tract because of the valve and because of the infundibulum. There are these two causes which leads to delayed P2. Why the P2 is soft? Because जितना सीवियर पीएस होगा उतना ज्यादा ब्लड एओर्टा से डिकम्प्रेस हो जाएगा. There is another egress to it. उतना ही कम ब्लड इसके क्रॉस जाएगा. So it becomes very soft. So it is soft and it is delayed. It is not absent. It is audibility is the issue. वो late हो जाती है और soft हो जाती है. That is why you see a single second heart sound.
Second
ना?
part. Yes sir.
It is not that कि second heart sound is absent. Second out sound becomes soft and becomes delayed and you can only appreciate the first out sound. ये बोलते हो ना जब examination में बोलते हो first second out sound is single.
Yes sir.
So it is not absent. It is just delayed and becomes so soft that it becomes inappreciable.
Yes sir. Then S3, S4 may be present in systemic hypertension or biventricular failure. Then if pulmonary stenosis is severe with restrictive VSD, all findings will be similar to severe isolated PS. And in case of mild pulmonary stenosis and restrictive VSD, findings will be dominated by the VSD findings, auscultatory findings of VSD. And so if on
Again, this is controversial, na? VSD का मरमर सुनाई नहीं देगा.
नहीं restrictive
This
VSD.
one is restrictive ESD. Restrictive
different.
ESD में तो pressure gradient.
Hoffman variety.
Yeah.
No, this is not Hoffman variant. This is Hoffman variant when there is a severe pulmonary
Pulmonary
stenosis and there is a
This is mild.
restrictive VSD. This is like a in PS intact septum.
Yeah, sir.
मतलब mild PS
Mild
है और
PS
VSD
है,
restrictive
VSD
है.
है mainly. हाँ.
It will behave like a VSD.
हाँ, left to right shunt की तरह ही behave करेगा वो.
so, like on examination, if we have pulmonary ejection sound and right ventricular prominent impulse, then we can have a suspicion of existing underlying pulmonary valve stenosis.
So examination में the other point which is very important in examination is that through your examination you have to differentiate. This particular probably discussion talks only of tetralogy physiology or only classical TOF, but by your examination you should enlist all the differential diagnosis of TOF, and by your examination you should be able to say why it is not the other differential diagnosis and why it is in favor of. मतलब वो discussion वो examination में आएगा. Absence of AV recursion, pansystolic murmur, presence of pulsations in the parasternal area suggestive of parasternal area में 2, 3, 4 में pulsations मिल रही हैं. Causes
collateral
malposed aorta की collateral CTG
Malposed vessels.
malposed vessels की malposed vessels जब भी मिलेंगे there are two possibilities. One, univentricular फिर malposed vessels or a corrected TGA.
Yes.
So there so everything with PS. Pansystolic murmur हमने बात कर ली, AV canal और उसके फेवर में आ जाएगा. LV apex आ जाएगा तो tricuspid atresia. There are only two causes. Single ventricle या tricuspid atresia.
Yes sir.
Okay, so all these things you should be examination में you should be able to elicit.
Then this series of phonocardiogram shows the change in the auscultatory findings over the various degrees of PS with non-restrictive VSD. If there is isolated VSD or very mild PS is there, so will hurt the holosystolic. So in this diagram, they have mentioned holosystolic murmur of VSD will be there. If
सुमन these are left to right shunts VSD and VSD PS ना, ये सारे वो हैं जो VSD की तरह बिहेव कर रहे हैं. देख नीचे लिखा है लेफ्ट टू राइट शंट, तो लेफ्ट राइट शंट्स में आइसोलेटेड VSD, फिर VSD PS, हाँ, वो राइट टू लेफ्ट शंट वाले नहीं है. ठीक है.
then in mild PS and as severity of PS increases, so murmur of systolic murmur of pulmonary stenosis goes on increasing, and when there is conversion from right to left, then ejection systolic click will be appeared, and murmur intensity of murmur will decrease.
Then balance shunt का क्या मतलब है?
Balance and bilateral ventricles में equal pressure जब होगा that time.
Equalization of pressure को balance shunt.
Yes. This is also cardiogram of the TOF with pulmonary atresia. So here in second intercostal space we are hearing S1, then followed by ejection click, and then systolic murmur. And in left axilla there is presence of continuous murmur, which starts in systole and crosses the S2 and ends in diastole. This is the two phonocardiograms. A is the phalate with pulmonary atresia, and phalate with severe pulmonary stenosis. So in atresia there will be S1 followed by ejection click and then systolic murmur, and in right axilla will hear the continuous murmur, while in severe pulmonary stenosis S1 will be followed by the systolic murmur of stenosis. Then the ECG findings. In ECG, P wave will be normal as there is normal atrial contractions. Then PR interval will be normal as conduction, no conduction defects are there, and QRS is usually normal with normal axis. T wave may be inverted and upright. Their findings are equal. Frequency of findings of inverted and upright T waves are usually equal. And presence of RVH, that is manifested by the tall monophasic R wave in V1 with abrupt change to V2, that small r and S pattern. And presence of Q wave is large high amplitude of R wave in lateral leads will denote the good ventricular filling. And
ये बहुत important है. The presence and depth of Q wave and the amplitude of R wave in V2, V5, V6 are sensitive signs of the magnitude of pulmonary blood flow of the left ventricle.
Magnitude ventricular.
हाँ, तो ECG के वजह से बता सकते हो कि कौन सा मेन वेंट्रिकल, कौन सा वेंट्रिकल बेसिकली.
Yes. So if there is decreased or underfilling of LV, so there will be small RS pattern. And if like these three conditions are described, good flow left to right shunt, then there will be good depth Q wave with high amplitude R wave. And if low underfilling, then there will be small RS pattern. And if there is balanced shunt, then there will be small Q and well developed R wave.
Suman, what does this abrupt change signify? Go back.
So इसमें भी even
abrupt change क्यों होता है? Why does it happen?
Basically sir वो V2 के अंदर जो leads हैं, they are sort of overseeing the non-restrictive VSD.
हाँ, तो it
LV forces को catch करती हैं.
it shows the presence of a large.
There is trabecular hypoplasia also, which causes dominant S in V2.
A presence of a non-restrictive VSD also, कि equalization pressure होने लगता है ना, so it shows the presence of a large VSD.
And that is why it is called as
axis normal लिखी हुई है. What is the axis in TOF?
सर ये इसमें लिखा है कि usually axis रहता है.
Usually it is somewhere between 90 to 150.
Yes,
90 to 155.
Duration is normal.
ये भी नोट करना पड़ेगा। नीरज सर हैं?
सर वो इसमें को आगे आगे जाके सारा की राइट
ये डिस्कशन ना पहले भी आया है, बट आई थिंक just check it because this clarification was there. Probably he mentions that the axis will persist to be of the normal neonate. Neonate has a right axis deviation.
Yeah.
Parloff में भी सर ये लिखा है कि it is of the newborn baby.
हाँ तो वही ना, this is what they want to say कि जैसे newborn में RVH होता है और right axis persist करता है, इसलिए tetralogy में वही pattern persist करता है, it does not go. So by normal he means normal of a newborn.
Yes sir.
That is a right axis deviation. To the extent एक बार मेरे साथ में विरेश था ना, वो इस बहस पे बहस करके मैडम के पास चला गया था कि नहीं मैडम नॉर्मल होता है. We had a very long discussion क्योंकि विरेश he used to be really चला गया था, नहीं मैडम नॉर्मल होता है, आई एम श्योर, बुक में भी लिखा हुआ है. तो फिर वो बुक खोली गई और फिर देखा गया it was written of a normal newborn. So it is it means a right axis deviation. Tetralogy की हर लाइन पे भयंकर डिस्कशंस हो चुकी हैं हमारे ग्राउंड. So this is ये holosystolic पे भी हो चुकी है. So we knew it is wrong written there.
Then with pulmonary atresia and abundant collaterals, T wave will be broad and prominent as there is more flow because increased cardiac output. And Q wave with well developed R as there will be good filling of left ventricle. So this is the ECG of TOF with pulmonary atresia, prominent P waves and prominent good high amplitude R wave and Q wave in lateral leads.
So here you can see the axis.
Yes, sir. Left, right axis. Yes.
Pulmonary atresia usually it is between 0 to 90 degrees.
90 degrees.
So similarly, if restrictive VSD with severe pulmonary stenosis, so ECG will be same of isolated PS, and restrictive VSD with mild stenosis, so will be having signs of RVH and RSR pattern in G1 and upright tall T waves.
X-ray पे आ गए नहीं अभी तो. ECG is very important in tetralogy. ECG में there are certain things which are very important in tetralogy. You must have. One with Gaurav has discussed, no, sudden transition which comes. Yes, that is one important question. Second, the presence of what are the causes of left axis deviation in case of in case it's a TOF physiology and you're getting a left axis deviation. What are the causes?
Association of AVSD.
One. What else?
DORV.
Or D.
Inlet VSD.
So basically,
single ventricle.
It signifies a VSD which is much more in the inlet septum, inlet extension of the VSD, which is commonly seen in AV canal defects, and second commonly it should be it's seen in tricuspid atresias. At times it has also been described for multiple VSDs. So these are the causes.
Even single ventricle also can have left axis.
Yeah, single ventricle can have any deviation from normal, which is there. Yeah. These three patterns are generally more common. Then comes the second important question: whenever there is a counterclockwise loop, the looping is equally important.
Yes.
More than an inlet extension, a presence of counterclockwise loop suggests that probably you are dealing with a AV canal defect with the inlet extension. Okay, this one ECG.
Even DORV.
Yeah, DORV, but it is more common with AV canal defect. And of course, second diffraction would be the DORV. And left axis deviation in case of tetralogy, you start thinking of tricuspid atresia or univentricular hearts. The presence of Q waves in V1, V2, V3 in a TOF physiology. What is the implication?
CTG VSD PS.
So you have to start thinking of a corrected TGA, or wherever the depolarization is occurring from right to left, which is CTGA or a CTGA like univentricular heart. These are the two differential diagnoses of tau physiology with AV decision. With a good variety with integrated flow with a DCRV. With absolutely, it will be a normal ECG. The only clue will come in when you take right-sided leads, because it's a RV hypertrophy. V3R, V4R would have upright T waves on normally T waves becomes inverted, no, for initial leads. So V3R or extreme V1 or V3R, you will get inverted T waves, which will be the only feature of isolated RV hypertrophy in case of DCRV. Anything else in ECG, Gaurav?
No, sir.
These is important.
Yeah.
ठीक है, ECG क्या एग्जाम में next time ECG होगा, so you have to think of all these. P waves का कुछ है नहीं, PR interval prolongation is again not that particular marked unless the patient is in failure. Unless atrial dilatation case because of this. Because of
Sir,
the
वो भी
late
है,
stage
we can see right atrial abnormality in adult or P waves.
very later stages. Normally it comes very late. वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ, P wave, P and P abnormalities and PR are very late, but classically यही है. और conduction abnormalities, yeah, conduction abnormalities, whenever you find, you have to start thinking of CTGA, univentricle or AVSD.
KVSDS.
ठीक है, whenever you have got conduction abnormalities. So these are the features. Interestingly, मुझे अभी phone आया था from Amritsar. They were doing a case of the patient presented in shock, complete heart block, 35 years old. They started to pace the patient, but उनसे pacing lead नहीं pass हो रही थी because उन्होंने कहा उसने word use किया IVC atresia है. तो उसने डिस्कशन के बाद फटाफट से नेकलाइन से डाल दिया राइट साइड से. Young adult with heart block with IVC interruption, first differential diagnosis. आज ही का केस है. Always rule out isomeric hearts. अगर heart blocks के साथ present कर रहा है, so isomeric heart, CTGA, these needs to. IVC interruption भी है, which is seen in 90% of left isomerism. So one has to start think of a left isomerism. Left isomerism, उसका कहना था बिल्कुल intracardiac तो कुछ है ही नहीं. उसे not all left isomerism may have intracardiac anomalies. They might isolated present with conduction abnormalities, IVC interruptions, and systemic venous anomalies. Just in इधर आ गया तो इसीलिए. X-ray.
So in X-ray of top, there will be as we go from the lung to from periphery to inside lung fields, there will be decreased pulmonary vascularity, and in pulmonary atresia is found a lacy reticular pattern of arteries with collaterals, and as a hypoplastic main pulmonary artery, so concavity will be appear, and dilated, and 25% cases it will be on right side. So right-sided dilated aortic arch can be present in X-ray, and sometimes dilated left subclavian artery may be seen.
How do you see for arch-sidedness in X-ray?
Sir, as right-sided aortic arch crosses the right bronchus and the first branch of right brachiocephalic artery.
That I know. How will it be appearing on X-ray? How will you identify?
Parallel to vertebral column. Vertebral column से सर parallel जाएंगे तो उसमें.
Sir, it will be.
So there is a indent. If there is a right-sided aortic arch, there will be indentation on
right side of the trachea.
Right bronchus.
Yes, indentation is important. That's the only clue. Okay, go ahead.
And
however, it does not hold true for left-sided arch.
But at least we can have an idea on seeing X-ray.
And in cardiac shadow boot shaped because of right ventricular hypertrophy, and maybe having dilated ascending aorta, or we can see in case of right aortic arch dilated descending aorta also.
So everyone
What is the
read this
significance
explanation
of right-sided arch?
Sir, it's important for cats, for the
Why
surgery.
do you want to know the side, which sided arch is there in a patient of top?
Sir, for the surgical, like conservative, just shunt or
And
BT,
BT
What
shunt.
we have to go for
what
the
BT shunt? So what
Is it
BT shunt is done in which side? If there is a left arch,
right side.
That's it.
so shunt is done usually on the opposite side. Okay.
Opposite side of the arch.
Left arch will be in the right modified BT and in the right arch left. Okay. Everyone read this explanation of boot shaped arch from Perloff. Okay. This should be that underfilled left ventricle lies above the hypertrophied RV, which gives the appearance of boot shape. But
Horizontal.
everyone in the exam only says right ventricular hypertrophy, which causes a boot shape appearance. But this
That's
is the
why it is
underfilled
uncommon in
LV also.
neonates.
This is
Yeah.
the combination of small underfilled left ventricle that lies on horizontal VS, and inferior to that is concentric hypertrophied but non-dilated RV.
Yes.
And this is again the X-ray of top with pulmonary atresia. So here, and this is the concavity because of the hypoplastic pulmonary trunk, hypertrophy of RV, and here the this is the dilated aortic arch and ascending arch, which is displacing the trachea towards the right, and this is the dilated ascending aorta and RA enlargement.
So many examiners are in the habit of giving you X-ray or ECG at the end of the discussion. Okay, they'll ask from you
सर
which
बूट शेप
investigation you
होता
want.
क्यों, मतलब रीजन फॉर बूट शेप क्यों बोलते हैं?
मैं कह रहा हूँ, most of the people think it's only the RV hypertrophy which gives the appearance of a boot shape, but it's
Okay.
the underfilled LV which is lying above the hypertrophied RV which gives it appearance.
ठीक है.
और मैं कह रहा था कि many of the examiners are in the habit कि दोनों में से एक चीज दे सकते हैं, एक्सरे या ईसीजी तुम्हारे डायग्नोसिस के लिए, तो चूज योर इन्वेस्टिगेशन वाइजली. बहुत सारी कार्डियक डिजीज में, खासतौर से कंजेनाइटल में ईसीजी में क्लिंचिंग होता है डायग्नोसिस में. चूज योर एक्सरे पे यूजुअली तुम मुश्किल डिफरेंशिएट करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है कई बार. तो जो भी तुम्हारा डायग्नोसिस जा रहा है उसके हिसाब से चूज वाइजली. हमेशा एएसडी आएगा तो वो कहेंगे कि अगर तुम्हें टाइप ऑफ एएसडी बताना है तो चूज ईसीजी. जैसे कि तीनों टाइप को डिस्टिंग्विश कर सकते हो, प्राइमम, ये ट्राइकस्पिरेटरी से आराम से डायग्नोस कर पाओगे ईसीजी के बेसिस पे. तो चूज दैट वाइजली, और एटलीस्ट जो क्लिंचिंग फीचर्स हैं हर डिजीज के वो पता होने चाहिए सब. सीटीजीए के, ट्राइकस्पिरेटरी का कैसा होगा, एबीएसडी का कैसा होगा, वो सब जरूर पता होने चाहिए. ठीक है
सर, इसमें एक्चुअली राइट टू लेफ्ट शंट होता है ना सर टॉप में?
क्या वामसी?
राइट टू लेफ्ट शंट होता है सर टॉप में.
राइट टू लेफ्ट शंट होता है किसमें? सॉरी तेरी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
टॉप में जो शंटिंग है सर राइट टू लेफ्ट है ना सर.
हाँ, राइट टू लेफ्ट के बाय डायरेक्शन. वो आरवी का आउटपुट प्रेडोमिनेटली वहीं. हाँ बोल.
तो एलवी में वॉल्यूम ज्यादा आएगा सर उसमें,
लेकिन अंडरफील्ड है ना, आरवी का ब्लड जा रहा है, लेकिन आरवी में अल्टीमेटली पल्मोनरी ब्लड सर्कुलेशन के वापस थ्रू तो एलवी फिल होगा ना. जिन केसेस में एडिक्वेट कोलैटरल्स हैं, एडिक्वेट सर्कुलेशन है, जैसे किसने एग्जांपल दिया था अभी पल्मोनरी ट्रीसिया पीएससी में आपका जो अबंडेंट कोलैटरल, उनमें क्यू वेव्स आ रही थी V5 V6 में, उनमें एलवी कैन बी एडुकेटली फिल्ड या डायलेटेड. बाकी सब में तो यूजुअली अंडरफील्ड होगा ना, थोड़ा आरवी हाइपरट्रोफिड होगा, लेकिन ब्लड पहुंच ही नहीं पा रहा है लंग्स में.
So what is the Vamsi? What is the characteristic catheterization?
वो भी आरवी का ब्लड तो वो तो एओर्टा में जा रहा है ना, जो भी तू कह रहा है राइट टू लेफ्ट शंट है वो तो एओर्टा में जा रहा है, एलवी में थोड़ी आ रहा है.
Exactly.
वो तो डायरेक्टली एओर्टा में पंप होता है.
RV, LV and aorta pressures are equal.
ऐसा नहीं है कि आरवी का ब्लड शंट ऑफ होके राइट टू लेफ्ट वेंट्रिकल में जा रहा है, वो तो इक्वलाइजेशन है. आरवी का सारा आउटपुट एओर्टा में चला जाता है.
एओर्टा की ओवरराइडिंग भी तो है.
Vamsi, you come to Ecolab also. I'll show. ठीक है कि आरवी का ब्लड कैसे एओर्टा में जा रहा है. ठीक है,
वेंट्रिकल में नहीं जाएगा तो एओर्टा में जाएगा.
हाँ, वेंट्रिकल में तो पहुंचता ही नहीं है ना, आरवी से सीधा आउटपुट एओर्टा में जाता है, और बाकी मिनिमल इंटीग्रेट फ्लो जाएगा जो पल्मोनरी के थ्रू जाएगा. तो जो भी लेफ्ट एट्रियम में आएगा वो तो कम होगा ना, तभी हमें पल्मोनरी वेन्स का फ्लो भी स्लगिश दिखता है, डिक्रीज फ्लो दिखता है. ठीक है, टॉप में पल्मोनरी वेन्स देखना मुश्किल होता है ना, क्योंकि फ्लो आ ही नहीं रहा, फ्लो ही कम जाता है, इसलिए पल्मोनरी वेन्स में भी फ्लो कम आता है.
एंड हेमोडायनेमिक चार्ट्स में भी ये वही है, दिस इज अ फुटप्रिंट कि अगर तुम्हें आरवी एलवी एओर्टा में सेम प्रेशर दिख रहा है तो इट इज स्टॉप इन अ साइनोटिक कंजेनिटल हार्ट डिजीज.
That actually yeah, with the cyanotic, but otherwise it signifies a non-restrictive VSD.
Yeah.
Whenever there is a RV LV pressure equalization, it signifies a non-restrictive VSD with aortic override.
And in this X-ray, this is the top with atresia, but here this is shaped as because of collaterals. LV is so LV hypoplasia is not there, so bull-shaped appearance is not visible. And this is hypoplastic pulmonary main trunk concavity and dilated ascending aorta, right RA enlargement. And in lung field, they say there is because of collaterals. So, but vascularity is not visible here. But they have mentioned this is because of collaterals.
ये this is differential vascularity ना, collaterals की वजह से. In some parts there is good vascularity, in some parts of the lung it is oligemic.
Lower part में sir.
Then this is the X-ray where stenosis is at the ostium of infundibulum. So here is right aortic arch, dilated descending aorta, RV enlarged, hypertrophy, RV enlargement, and this is dilated because of the ostium is in stenos, so this is presence of hypertrophy.
So this is called, this particular what you are saying is actually called Mughal's chamber. And there is space and there is a valvular component, so there is a space in between. There is an infundibulum, there is a space, then is a valvular component. This particular discrete hypertrophy, when occurs, it is classically called third chamber or Mughal's chamber, which is very seen in tetralogy with predominantly infundibular stenosis. There is unfolding of the aorta also, no? In this X-ray, 60 years है ना, adult is the.
Yes. 62. Then in echocardiography, so echocardiography will help us to detect the morphological structural abnormalities and the functional abnormality by applying color Doppler. So in this long axis view, here we can septum and right ventricle, left ventricle, and this is left atrium, and here is discontinuation just below the aortic cusps. So this is the inlet VSD, and in this at great vessels view, in this there is a continuation communication between aorta and pulmonary artery. This is muscular PDA.
I think echo में let's ask the exam question. This is predominantly exam oriented, no? कर लो. Echo में what would you like to see? If you have to send this patient for surgery, just give the salient feature which you would like to see in echocardiography. In a case of tetralogy. Now it is not how do you diagnose TOF. It is what will you like to see?
So first of all, on echo, we'll check the location of VSD, and if possible, we'll see associated other small muscular VSD.
Yeah, that is very important. VSD and additional VSDs, and how VSD is related to the aorta. Okay. DORV is a close differential diagnosis, so you have to look for the degree of aortic override to decide whether it is DORV subset or it's a tetralogy. Okay, what else?
So then the arch, whether it's right arch or left aortic arch.
Arch last में बोलते हैं, उससे पहले important चीजें बोल रहे हैं. What else?
Type of RV would be
Size of pulmonary arteries. Size of pulmonary arteries.
Pulmonary arteries are very important. No, next is pulmonary arteries. Right pulmonary artery का size कितना है, left pulmonary artery का size कितना है, whether they are confluent or not confluent.
Yes, confluence. Yes, a confluency, and further there.
Then third, whether what is the type of RVOT, what is the annulus size, whether you need to put a transcellular patch. अगर annulus छोटा है तो transcellular patch लगेगा, अगर annulus बड़ा है तो transcellular patch की जरूरत नहीं है. Yes. If annulus is छोटा, then you have to look for coronary arteries. कोई coronary artery annulus को cross तो नहीं कर रही. Yes, then of course you would like to see the arch. If it is specifically for a BT shunt, then it becomes very important. And then you have to see the presence of left SVC कि surgeon को cannulate करना है, दोनों को cannulate करना है कि नहीं करना है. Of course, you have to see pulmonary
Both
veins.
pulmonary and systemic venous return.
Pulmonary veins, because pulmonary veins get missed very often because they are underfilled, and you have to see systemic veins because the patient has to go for surgery. In this order, you have to speak about echocardiography.
Collaterals also.
Collaterals.
Suspicion of collaterals will come in the arch view, but echo is not the good modality for collaterals. If you can see in echocardiography, definitely you catheterize the patient. Otherwise, you catheterize. Then we come to catheterization. Next is when do you send for cardiac catheterization?
Yeah.
ये हो गया cath indication.
Indications.
Indication for catheterization to check the size of pulmonary VA size for additional VSD. Look for any
वो तो इको में भी देख लिया
and MEPCAS to confirm.
Why catheterization for additional VSD?
Yeah.
जो अभी रोहित बोल रहा है. हाँ रोहित क्यों?
रोहित का क्वेश्चन इज इम्पोर्टेंट. तो इको में तो देख लिया, क्यों देखना चाहते हो?
क्यों देखना चाहते हैं?
सर
ये तो इतनी बार डिस्कस किया यार क्लास में हम लोगों ने.
Actual size of VSDs.
Right to left shunt होता है.
साइज से क्या करना है
So
तुम्हें?
you
Right
miss,
Shunt.
Shunt is there.
echo में you miss VSDs because they usually right to left.
So apical VSDs.
Small VSDs, distal apical VSDs are missed.
Apical VSDs are.
So why they get missed?
Pressure.
Why they get
Pressure
missed?
cycle.
राइट लेफ्ट प्रेशर और
What Romila is saying, equal pressures है ना, तो कुछ शंटिंग दिखेगा ही नहीं तेरे को कि कहाँ जा रहे हैं. ठीक है, साइनोसॉइड जैसे तो दिखते हैं एपेक्स पे, तो तुझे पता ही नहीं, अप्रिशिएट ही नहीं कर पाएगा कि वो साइनोसॉइडल फ्लो है एपेक्स पे या फिर VSDs है.
There is a possibility because of systemic RV pressures, you might miss the additional VSDs. So if you have any suspicion of additional VSD, you should inject and then demonstrate the absolute size, because pressure injection से you will be able to demonstrate it much better.
कौन सा एंजियो करेंगे? आरवी एंजियो या एंजियो?
Yes sir.
VSD देखने के लिए आरवी एंजियो करेंगे, एलवी एंजियो करेंगे?
Sir RV.
और कोई?
LV
क्यों
angiogram.
क्यों मोहित? आरवी में क्यों नहीं कर रहे?
So Romila, why are not RV angiogram? What is the problem by doing a RV angiogram in systemic pressures?
Trabeculation.
Yeah, because there are lot of trabeculations in RV normally. The trabulation can be mistaken for VSD tracts. जबकि LV का interventricular septum, LV को identify उससे करते हैं, smooth होता है.
स्मूथ होता है ना.
Always
वही
LV
इनको भी
angiogram
इशू होता है इसमें.
to demonstrate VSD is much better.
और क्या इंडिकेशन होती है कैथेटराइजेशन के?
Coronary arteries origin देखने के लिए.
Anomalies को rule out करने के लिए.
Sir, can we do a CT?
दूसरा MEPCAS को rule out. MEPCAS
Yeah,
देती है.
CT can demonstrate this, but the problem with CT is only this two. One, VSD profilation is not good, and secondly, MEPCAS, if require intervention, you will have to come to CAT table again.
Yes, intervention के लिए.
And third, coronary artery abnormalities, coronaries को profile करने के लिए you require very low heart rates. So at times it becomes difficult in children.
Okay.
Otherwise, CT is a good modality. You look for branch PAs, for RVOTs. CT is a good modality.
जी sir.
Okay, anything else? हो गया tetralogy?
Yes sir. So वो absent pulmonary valve और artery वो कल की क्लास में बता दूंगी सर स्टार्टिंग.
Actually एक तो DD रह गया है ना, DD of
तो शायद हम पूरा कंप्लीट करके
हम पूरा कंप्लीट करके फिर
एक
टॉप फिजियोलॉजी पढ़ सकते हैं.
टॉफ का क्लिनिकल एक बार we have discussed most of it, but कैसे वो important है ना, DDs of टॉफ.
yeah.
ठीक है, then we'll do it tomorrow.
Yes sir. Thank you.
कल तो treatment part है ना.
ठीक है, but management हो जाएगा.
Okay.
Anything else?
बस ठीक है सर.
चलो ठीक है, कल करते हैं.
Thank you sir.
ठीक है सर.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
क्लासिफिकेशन की बात कर रहे थे ना, वो उसकी जो MEPCAS की क्लासिफिकेशन का नाम क्या होता है? मतलब कौन-कौन सी दो क्लासिफिकेशन?
वही तो किया था हमने, जो किया था.
उसका नाम पूछा था मैंने. नाम
अच्छा, उसका नाम आपने बताया नहीं क्लास. क्या है नाम सर?
एक रॉबिनोविच क्लासिफिकेशन और एक मेगुन्स क्लासिफिकेशन।
अच्छा, वो ओरिजिन वाली कौन सी है और वो वाली कौन सी है?
जो रॉबिनोविच क्लासिफिकेशन है दैट इज बेसिकली बेस्ड ऑन ओरिजिन, और जो मेगुन्स क्लासिफिकेशन है वो टर्मिनेशन के बेसिस पे बेस्ड है। डिटेल पढ़ना, मेरे को भी ऐसे ही इतना ही याद है।
ये किस में है? मॉस में?
नहीं मॉस में
ये नहीं, मॉस में नहीं दिया हुआ है, परलॉफ में भी ऐसे नाम नहीं, बट ये क्लिनिकल बुक में मिल जाता है।
ठीक है सर।